Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and explore Stephen Covey's absolutely legendary framework. Now listen, we aren't going to look at this as just some rigid set of rules or a literal to-do list. Instead, we want to look at it in a totally non-literal sense, as this profound, almost metaphorical journey of human perception. Really, it's all about how the way we see the world literally shapes absolutely everything we do. So here's the agenda for today's explainer. We've got 1. Striking at the root. 2. Shifting your paradigm map. 3. The lighthouse of principles. 4. The space between. 5. The golden egg balance. And 6. Sharpening the saw. But, don't just think of this as a standard table of contents. Think of it more as our metaphorical map that we're going to use to navigate the deep psychology of human effectiveness today. All right, Section 1, striking at the root. We're kicking things off by completely challenging those temporary life hacks that popular culture is constantly pushing on us. So, Covey points out this massive shift in how society actually views success. For a really long time, it was all about the character ethic. Things like integrity, humility, and courage. But recently, well, society kind of shifted to the personality ethic. It became all about public image, quick fix techniques, and attitude hacks. The crucial takeaway here is that true success doesn't come from hacking away at the leaves of your attitude with a personality ethic. If you want real, quantum change, you absolutely have to strike at the deep, hidden roots of the character ethic. And that brings us to what Covey calls the inside-out approach. Think of it like this. You can't change the outside world or your relationships without first changing the most internal parts of yourself. It's like doing a complete internal renovation of your own motives and character. To make a change that actually lasts, we have to adopt this inside-out mindset, which leads us perfectly into how we actually perceive the world around us. Section 2, shifting your paradigm map. Now, what's super interesting about this next part is that it's going to force you to question your own reality. Take a really good look at this image. Do you see a young lady turning away, or do you see an old woman looking down? It's wild, right? Some of you instantly catch the young woman's jawline and necklace, while others immediately lock onto the old woman's large nose and chin. Now, this isn't some cheap magic trick. It's a pure demonstration of psychology. Why do two people look at the exact same black lines and white spaces and see completely different things? Well, Covey notes that if I'd shown you a picture of an old woman first, basically conditioning your brain, you'd almost certainly see the old woman here. It proves this massive psychological truth. Where we stand depends entirely on where we sit. We are completely conditioned by our past. This brilliantly illustrates what we call a paradigm. Metaphorically speaking, a paradigm is just our mental map of the world. Now, imagine you're trying to navigate through downtown Chicago, but by some crazy printing error, you were handed a map of Detroit. You could have the absolute best attitude in the world. You could think positive thoughts all day. You could even drive twice as fast. But guess what? You will still be completely lost. No amount of positive thinking is going to get you to your destination if your fundamental mental map is just wrong. Moving on to Section 3, the lighthouse of principles. If our paradigms are just these subjective, flawed maps, how in the world do we know what true north actually is? Well, objective reality is dictated by principles. Covey compares these to lighthouses. Think about it. Lighthouses don't move. They are the unchanging natural laws of human effectiveness. Things like fairness, honesty, and human dignity. As Cecil B. DeMille so brilliantly put it, it is impossible for us to break the law. We can only break ourselves against the law. You literally can't negotiate with a lighthouse, right? You just have to align your ship to it. So let's see how this builds our core. People base their lives on a lot of different centers. Some are obsessed with money, some center on a spouse, or even just on themselves. But the problem is all of these things fluctuate. If you're totally money-centered and the market crashes, poof, your entire sense of security is just gone. But by centering our lives on timeless, unchanging principles, we build this unfailing foundation. It acts as an anchor, giving us this deep wisdom and security that external circumstances literally can't touch. Section 4, the space between. With our lighthouse identified, we're now going to zoom all the way into the human mind to explore the very mechanics of how we act and react. Okay, here is a really profound metaphorical concept. Animals are strictly wired for stimulus and response. You ring a bell, the dog salivates. End of story. But humans, we possess this unique, invisible gap between the stimulus and the response. It's this beautiful space where our self-awareness and our imagination actually live. And this concept was forged in the most horrific conditions imaginable. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl realized, while suffering in the repugnant conditions of a Nazi death camp, that no matter what was done to him, his captors could not control this gap. He realized that this space, our absolute freedom to choose our internal response to any external circumstance, is our ultimate, undeniable power. We are not just the sum of our conditioning. We are actually the programmers of our own lives. So, using that freedom to choose, we can actually build our character. And when you get down to it, character is just a composite of our habits. Covey defines a habit as the powerful intersection of three specific things: knowledge, which is knowing what to do; skill, which is knowing how to do it; and desire, which is the actual motivation or want to do it. You literally need all three of these overlapping to form a habit that lasts. And this brilliantly illustrates the overarching journey of the 7 habits. It's essentially a maturity continuum. We all start out as dependent, relying entirely on others. Then, habits 1, 2, and 3 create these private victories that move us to independence. But here's the kicker: independence isn't the final goal. Habits 4, 5, and 6 create public victories that elevate us to the absolute highest state, which is interdependence. This is that magic moment where we realize that working cooperatively with others creates something vastly greater than we could ever do alone. Section 5, the golden egg balance. But hey, how do we actually sustain this incredible journey of effectiveness without completely burning out? To explain this, Covey uses a classic metaphor, Aesop's fable of the goose and the golden egg. You probably know it. A poor farmer discovers his pet goose lays a solid golden egg every single day. He gets super rich, but then, of course, he gets greedy and impatient. He cuts the goose open to get all the eggs at once, and actually, he finds nothing. He kills the goose and he loses the eggs forever. So the crucial point here is what Covey calls the P/PC balance. P stands for production. Those are the golden eggs, the tangible results you want. PC is production capability. That's the health and well-being of the goose that actually produces those results. If you push yourself, or say your team, so hard for results that you ruin their health or morale, well, you've chilled the goose. True effectiveness is this ongoing, delicate equilibrium between the two. You absolutely must rigorously protect the goose. Which brings us to Section 6, sharpening the saw. Protecting the goose leads us perfectly into our final encapsulating metaphor. Imagine walking into the woods and seeing this completely exhausted guy furiously sawing at a tree. He's been at it for 5 hours and he is getting nowhere fast. You suggest he take a quick break to sharpen his blade, and he just snaps back at you. "I don't have time to sharpen the saw. I'm too busy sawing." I mean, it sounds totally absurd, right? But think about it. How often do we do this exact same thing in our own lives? We constantly say we're too busy producing to actually take the time to renew ourselves. Sharpening the saw is the daily private victory of personal renewal. It encompasses 4 key dimensions: the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and the social/emotional. By continuously renewing yourself in these 4 areas, you're maintaining that PC, your production capability. This continuous improvement creates this amazing upward spiral of growth that makes living all the other habits even possible. We've covered a ton of profound metaphorical ground in this explainer today, from recognizing our flawed paradigm maps to finding that hidden space between stimulus and response. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to mull over. Take a look at your current struggles right now. If true effectiveness really is an inside-out journey, which leaf are you currently hacking at that actually requires you to strike at the root? Because true effectiveness, it isn't just some quick fix you apply on the outside. It's the solid, unshakable character you build from the roots up. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep sharpening that saw.